Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mother Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. Without question, playing sports gives kids and adults a lot. Community, leadership skills, building patience, perseverance, navigating loss, resilience. But how much exposure do kids really need to reap the benefits? Must they be on teams on top of teams? Must they play at a highly competitive level in order to learn what hard work looks like? The answer is obviously, of course not. How families participate in sports is very much similar to how different families can celebrate the exact same holiday entirely differently. Ideally, you do what makes you and your kids happy and find enjoyable. Less ideally, you do things because you feel like you're supposed to, even though it doesn't bring anyone in the equation much joy. Sure, don't let your kid quit something on a bad day. That applies. But also, sure, let them quit on a good day if what they're doing really doesn't speak to them. All of this pontification is brought to you as a product of today's guest, who has a love for the game. All the games. Meg Duff describes herself as being born during spring training. Her childhood was steeped in professional sports, and she went on to have a successful college sports career of her own. And when I tell you this woman's eyes light up when she talks about the prospect of travel baseball with her son, this is how I knew all of my hemming and hawing about what to do with my own kid was a moot point. Her family loves it. No brainer. My family likes it, but we're not obsessed. Unless our kids become obsessed on their own, their sports careers will probably be dictated by doing some, but not all the things. Meg Duff is an entrepreneur, CEO of Childish Plates. She designed something and built a business because she was a parent who wanted something for her kid that didn't already exist in the world. My favorite kind of entrepreneur. Her story is one that will be familiar to so many of us. The regular building and rebuilding of identity and new chapters of life, feeling the void that new phases of life can introduce, and then experimenting with the most meaningful way to fill that void. Being confronted with being uncomfortable and having no way out of it besides through it. Enjoy, share with a friend, leave a review, guys.
Nice to be here.
I'm very happy to have you. I'm shocked that you got here punctually after a kid drop-off on the other side of the city. Today, we're going to start with little Meg. You grew up in Atlanta.
I grew up all over.
Ooh.
Yes. My dad played baseball professionally.
Oh, cool. He was moving around to different teams.
Correct. I was born during spring training in Arizona, and they were living in Seattle at the time. He played for the Mariners, Dodgers, and Royals.
Amazing.
So he moved a ton. And then for the last, 30 plus years, he's been the broadcaster for the Braves.
Oh, cool.
So that took us to Atlanta when I was in 6th grade.
Got it. Okay, so you kind of got to have a big chunk of what are often the most formative years in one place, which is super lucky.
Made it through all of high school in the same spot, very lucky.
That's actually huge.
Yeah.
Now, moving around when you were little, are your parents together?
They are.
And so was your mom, it's a stay-at-home mom, but it's a specific kind of stay-at-home mom, or was she also working?
She's a stay-at-home mom, and my dad would travel with the team to go to the different cities. So she's very independent and very capable. And
yeah, that's kind of what I meant. Is I feel like when you're a partner to somebody who's doing something at that level, there's just so much more complexity to the thing.
There is, and I have mirrored that in my current life.
Meaning your partner or
my husband is doing a job that is big and travels a lot, and I have a similar life to what my mom had.
Oh, interesting.
I think.
Yeah.
Make decisions. We're doing this. It's my son and me, and just roll with the.
Dad is notified as and when required.
Yes, I mean he has way more input than that, but he's
off a lot.
He's off a lot.
And do you ever talk to your mom about that now?
No, I just thought of it.
We're having revelations in the closet on this Wednesday
therapy,
morning.
Right?
Yeah, that is what people say when they come in here. That is super interesting.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you are also doing some things a little bit differently. And we'll get to that in the sense that you are also literally an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So, but I think that the complexity of having somebody who's gone a lot means that like your executive functioning is extremely high, has to be.
Yes.
You're juggling a lot and you're constantly problem solving, like very unexpected problems, similar to what you have to do as an entrepreneur, I would imagine.
That's true.
So you're traveling around. As a kid, obviously 6th grade, you have memories before 6th grade?
I do.
I have a terrible memory, so I have
a terrible memory. But I remember like way back, but like yesterday.
Right. That's just mom brain. That's different. But I have a terrible memory. But okay, so you have memories of like living this kind of traveling all over. Was it exciting as a kid? Was it stressful?
It was not stressful. My parents are wonderful parents. It was like idyllic. My mom gets up every morning and makes us breakfast, and she's cutting out our grapefruit and just like serving it, you know.
Very idyllic.
Yes.
And did you know growing up that your dad was this like big deal to other people besides you? Of course he was a big deal to you. He was your dad.
We would just kind of giggle about it. Like,
right.
I don't know.
Like,
would you giggle about it?
Would you be like out at a restaurant and he would get approached?
Yeah. After his years have gotten on and working with the Braves, more and more people know who he is. And I just like look at him and smile like, oh my gosh, Dad, they know who you are.
That's so cute. That's you. I did see a picture of your dad and he looks like a very like warm and fuzzy kind of guy.
He is.
He's like a mush.
Yes.
Now,
he's like a giant. Yeah, he's like 6'4". Like we come from a family of giants. But
is your mom tall also?
She's 5'9".
Okay, yeah.
My brother's 6'6". And
how tall is your husband?
6'1".
Okay, so like your kid's got a chance.
He's got a chance.
My husband is really, really banking on my daughter being in the WNBA.
Amazing.
She's 18
I hope
months
that for her
currently, and like not very coordinated 18 months. Just started walking like 2 weeks ago.
She's got a shot.
but he's already teaching her that basketball is her favorite sport. So we'll have to talk about your own dalliances. So, okay, Dad's a professional athlete growing up. Mom is running the show at home. And 6th grade, you land in Atlanta.
Yes. Marietta.
Marietta.
And, great neighborhood. My friends all live in the same neighborhood. We cut through the backyard to each other's houses.
So nice.
Yeah.
What kind of kid were you? Were you like a mischief? Were you like a good girl?
No, 100% follow the rules. Zero mischief. Stubborn. And
but zero mischief was had.
Yes.
Now, were you in your mind, I was also like a pretty have to follow the rules, but I think it's in my mind because I was like, I'm going to be president one day.
Oh.
And I can't have anything on my record.
No, I have a record, first of all. And secondly, my mom and dad were very strict. And I happened to get in trouble the like one time I was given free reign.
Right. Right. So I like that. Okay. So strict household, and was strict like, this is your curfew.
This is your curfew. You'll come in and give us a kiss every night.
Got it.
My mother is like a bloodhound. She was like, did you drink vodka? Sprite? And you're like, where did you come from, lady?
I'm not even mad, Mom. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
That is very impressive. So, okay, we've got like curfew, strict households. Mm-hmm. You're land in a new place in middle school. Was it easy to kind of like land and make new friends? I guess middle school, everyone's starting.
I had moved to Georgia from Nebraska, and you would have thought that was like an equal move in terms of weird places.
No, I would not think that.
Georgia was much more advanced.
Yeah, I would think that. But, if you're listening and you're from Nebraska, Meg thinks very highly of you.
Yeah, I thought we were on equal footing.
Right. So you like get to Marietta and you're like, I'm in the future.
Yeah. And very advanced with the crowd.
What does that mean? Is like everybody stopping?
Like, yeah, like they were really into boys, and I was, into playing soccer and basketball and couldn't figure out what was happening.
Sure. Yeah. I still kind of feel like that, quite frankly. And did you, in terms of like, around that time, you're starting to think about like, what might I want to do with my life? Were you thinking I'm going to be a professional athlete because that's the family business?
No, but I was really driven and psycho-competitive and played all the sports all the time. And the fact that my dad had played a sport, I think just made that an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were your parents coming to all of your games?
Every single game.
And what kind of sports parents were they?
Soccer mom, like my mom was just like taking everybody and
orange slices
and tournaments and hotels and all the things. Camps in the summer.
Oh my God. Now that you are a parent, is this something you're signing up to do with your kid?
He's 5 and I am trying to like tone down my excitement for travel baseball.
Because that's something you're like excited about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, my family.
This is extremely cute because when my son just started Wii Ball. Mm-hmm. Do you have Wii Ball on your side of the 405?
We had T-ball. But
yeah, so Wii Ball's the precursor to T-ball, which is like, it's once a week. The first half hour is skills and the second half hours they play an inning.
Cool.
In air quotes. And it's super cute. It feels so like American. Yes. in a very like pure way. It feels very sweet. And also, I cannot imagine spending my weekends for the rest of my life driving kids around to shit. You're amped
we have
about
a
it.
Different view on it.
But I love that. But do you think it's because like that was such an integral part of your childhood?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And my husband grew up with sports also. So both of us are just like, what if he's like into theater? Like what if? Like that's great and we'll be supportive, but we'll be like I'm like on the sidelines at the theater.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great job.
Great faces you're making, buddy.
Keep it up.
Great. You can take my kid for the weekends thing. But it's a concession stand after the game. Oh, yeah. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I understand that it's cute, and I'm sure in a year I'm going to be eating these fucking words right now. But
again, my son being almost 6, he is also psycho-competitive.
Oh, interesting.
So he's super into it.
That is helpful.
You know, he's kind of put away the trucks and it's like, Mom, let's go shoot baskets. Let's go play catch. Let's do this, which I'm thrilled about because, yeah, I did that growing up and I can still pretend to do it.
I feel like you can probably more than pretend. So, okay, so you're very competitive. You have a family that's obviously super supportive. Is Dad like giving you notes after games and stuff? Yeah,
100%.
You're doing like the postmortem on the game.
I send my dad every at bat. And he sends back, like, remember, just, you know, like, small tip, because I know he's only 6, but keep his elbow up and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, Dad.
That is very, very cute.
It's so cute.
Small tip.
It's small. Just, you know, if it comes up.
If he asks you. But no big deal. No pressure.
My dad was here visiting when the Braves played the Dodgers, like, a week or 2 ago. And he had to go to work before my son was getting out of school. So in the morning at like 6:30 at our rental house, he's outside playing catch with my son because they were so excited.
So cute. How do you not like bawl your eyes out when you see that?
Oh, I could now, but at the time I was like, we have to go.
Yeah. There's a schedule, people. Yeah. Fair. I know that is the classic balance of being a mom and the keeper of the schedule is like acknowledging that there's a moment and also acknowledging that like shit needs to get done.
Okay, picture's done. Let's go.
Yeah. We captured this beautiful moment. Go. So you are in high school. What sorts of things are you gravitating toward in high school? Topics, subjects, sports, etc.
Yes, I did volleyball, basketball, and track.
Okay. What were you doing in track?
High jump.
I just want to know what tall people do. Yeah,
400. Okay. And then I was doing all like the hard classes and the AP stuff, and so I didn't really have time to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I'd come home after practice and have like 2 hours of homework and be like, all right.
And this all comes from your place of just being competitive.
Yes, this is not, my parents were strict.
Yeah.
It was self-imposed.
Yeah. And you're doing this in the hopes that you're not like gagging over your love of physics. You're just like, I'm doing physics because that's the thing that to get the grade.
Right.
Were any of the courses, did anything speak to you academically?
Well, I thought I wanted to be like a marine biologist or an orthopedic surgeon, you know?
Sure.
So going to college, I was like, yeah, chemistry, we got this. College was a different story.
We don't got this.
College, I was like, I might have burned out a little academically. And I went to Yale to play basketball.
Yeah.
And I kind of took the approach like, oh, I made it in. I'll get by. But I don't need to be number one in the class.
Yes.
Because that's not going to be possible.
And how many of your peers do you feel like I feel like a lot of people find themselves in that situation where for so long the elite school is the end goal, and then they get there and they're like, fuck, now what? Or I'm really tired, or now I'm going to party, or whatever it is.
Well, it was a great, perfect storm because my parents being strict, I got to college and I was wild and decided academics was not my focus and stuck with basketball. But
were they extremely amped that you were playing college basketball?
Yes.
But it's interesting.
They were pretty amped about Yale because that was never like...
Because it's Yale.
Well, we were in Georgia, and it wasn't like, oh, we were trying to get into good schools. It was like, where am I going to play basketball? And
right.
That was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So when it was like Yale calling, they were like, whoa, that's crazy.
and how did that decision get made in your house that that's where you were going to go?
I went on college tours, and then, did official visits, like meeting with coaches and things and teams. And as soon as I got to Yale, I was like, this is it. I love the campus. Beautiful New Haven.
It's a good campus. It's the closest you can get to like a Harry Potter-ish type thing.
Very Harry Potter, yeah. Castles and Gothic, and I just loved it. Still love New Haven.
Were you in a secret society?
I was.
Fuck, I knew you would be. Are you allowed to say which one?
I am, because ours was not so secret. We were
which one?
More of a fun. It was called St. Elmo's Society.
Oh, is that like the movie?
Well,
I don't know anything about St. Elmo.
I don't know either. Can't remember, but I do know the society's been around since like early 1800s. So I think we predated Demi Moore.
But I like that the reputation was like we're the fun one.
Yeah, we used to have a like secret location, and it somehow burned down, and we just had a house like randomly on one of the New Haven streets.
Kind of just like a co-ed fraternity sorority sort of thing.
It's just senior year, and I loved it because I didn't know anybody that well, and it then ended up becoming great friends with these people we were seeing twice a week.
Yeah. And are you now still in touch with all of these people? Yes. Yeah, it's like okay, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
So you are playing competitive basketball at one of the best universities in the world, and your parents are thrilled about this. You're having a good time. Is there anything in your mind that you're like, what happens when I leave this place?
Yes. And I wish I could go back and talk to this girl and be like, there are more school options after this that are not med school and law school, because I didn't get the whole graduate studies situation. I didn't know about business school. I didn't know about like forestry, stuff that
they do have a good school of forestry right there at Yale, actually. Do a lot of people, like in the sense that I didn't know about I left and then I got my master's later because I had to like be in the real world to hear about a master's.
How do we not know about these things? I feel like at the time when you're supposed to be making that decision.
Yeah.
So I went to law school.
Wah, wah. Where did you do that?
Villanova.
Okay. And how was that? Clearly it didn't speak to you in a deep and meaningful way.
No, it didn't. I did it just because I thought that was like next. And then I got a job and I worked in law for 3 years. And then I was looking to do something different and met a boy and moved to LA. Like, I'm not going to take the California bar exam.
It's the hardest one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what
I don't want to do it anymore.
Also, that's important.
Yeah.
What was the transition like from basketball at this point being kind of a huge part of your life to all of a sudden it's like a breakup, like you're not doing it anymore?
Severe depression.
Yeah? I mean, I can imagine that's a huge change.
I took a year off and lived in San Diego and before starting law school. And it was like the team was taken away, you know, my everyday
family
schedule and the endorphins, because it's, 3 hours of working out a day. Huge drop off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that would be the bigger shock in a way.
I definitely agree. I was like, why did no one warn you about like the post-college depression? Like real, ugh.
I know. Such a bummer. Well, it's funny, right? Because as adults, it's like you always hear adults being like, enjoy these years now. But as a kid, you don't hear it because you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, old lady? And now it's like, I'm like, enjoy these years now because you can only
enjoy kindergarten.
Yeah. Just enjoy that nap time, bro. You can only appreciate every cliche, and turns out is true pretty much, but you can only really appreciate it once you've already lived it. Like people can't give you the insight. Same with parenting. I feel like you hear a lot of shit and
enjoy
it's like,
this time.
Right.
Like, okay.
You're like, I'm super tired and this is really hard.
Shower.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I try and like force myself to hear it, like enjoy this time. And I'll just stare at my children and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go back to being tired. I love you guys so much, and I'm trying to burn this into my memory, and also I'm so tired.
Hopefully you guys don't burn this into your memory, me staring at you weirdly.
Yeah. It's a staring contest now. Or like rock, paper, scissors with my 4.5-year-old. There's a lot of eye contact involved, so he doesn't know that it's happening. Okay, so you go through a bit of a rough patch. You meet a guy. We're not going to get into details about who, but you did meet an actor.
I did.
Was that in Philly or in San Diego?
It was in Philly. And I had been living there post law school and met a guy on a golf course. And
of course, you met somebody doing a fucking sport.
Well, I tell every girl that is single,
take up golf
to the golf course. Like this fish in a barrel. So yeah, and then I moved to LA in 2008.
Now, when you met this person, did you recognize them at the time?
Yeah, I did.
And is that like a strange experience?
Very strange. I've had a very strange life having that in the
storyline.
Coming from just a very normal East Coast life to come out to the West Coast and be thrown into the deep end of the entertainment industry was very eye-opening.
Just moving here, we moved here from New York a few years ago, and just without that piece, it is culturally really different here.
Yeah.
And the stuff people talk about and prioritize, and I've found my corner of this universe that I love, but it was very shocking at first. I can't imagine to do that and also kind of be in the public eye while you're figuring that out. It's a lot.
And it was really hard to find friends because it was like, oh, you're using me.
Right. And it's like, or like, I can't tell if this is a genuine connection or do you just think this is like a fun fact about me and I'm like a collection to go on a shelf.
Yes. Or you have a script.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's icky.
Yeah. It was
icky.
It was icky. It was learning experience. It formed my life. It was fun.
Yeah. But it also must have taught you a lot about like, okay, if this thing isn't right, because you guys were together for a long time, if this isn't right for me, then surely the corollary is now I know the things that I am looking for my next chapter.
True.
Right?
Yes.
So
gave me a good list of pros and cons.
Right. Okay, so now you are no longer together, but you're in LA still.
Yes.
And you've come to like LA enough to stay?
Come to like LA enough to stay. My brother moved out here. We were roommates for a while, and it was like the most fun.
We haven't even talked about your brother.
Well, he's there.
I'm so sorry. Wait, is he older or younger?
He's 5 years younger.
Okay. All right. So you each kind of got your own time to rule the roost at home.
We did.
That's ideal.
He grew up with different parents. They were not strict. He was out
Classic.
eating. They were giving him alcohol to go to prom, like all the things where you're just like, huh. I drove a Volvo and he had a souped up truck with a base and it's Georgia. So that was a big deal.
Yeah. I really thought I grew up in Florida. I really thought I wanted my first car to be like a F-150.
Well, obviously.
Like I really thought like that was the move, and like to listen to Tim McGraw with the windows down, barbecue stain, just like that.
Yeah.
What could be cooler?
Well, I wanted an Eclipse. So.
We can just end this now. I feel like we've learned enough about what
cool girls had Eclipses, and I was just like, oh.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Could you imagine? Do you, by the way, occasionally I will look at my son and be like, oh my God, I am not going to be the one to teach you how to drive.
Yes.
I don't want it to be me.
My nephew is getting his license, and I was with his mom yesterday and just like, what are you going to do? And she's like, he's doing well. Like, I was like, still, it's LA, like these interstates. She's like, oh, we don't interstate.
I mean, the idea, it gives me diarrhea, the idea of having to like be in the passenger seat. Yeah. There's going to be somebody else. That's a husband job. I've just decided, I think.
Where we live in Malibu, like you come off of our street and it's PCH.
Yeah.
There's no like easing into it.
No thanks. No thanks. Pass. Okay.
So he might have a Volvo too, or just like a tank.
Yeah. Just a massive fucking tank. Okay, so you are here. You are now single. You have come to enjoy LA. And what are you doing for work at this time?
My brother and I were working at a tech startup, and then the guy turned out to be a total fraud and like robbed everybody.
The classic startup story.
Yeah. And we were like, what? People don't tell the truth? Like, what is happening?
You had too much of a wholesome childhood.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that for like 3 years.
So you were living together and working together at that time?
Yeah, we were like besties. We were riding bikes to work, and...
That's so sweet. Was he a sports kid too?
Yes, he played baseball. He didn't play in college, but through high school.
I'll have to ask him one day.
He's like the king of leisure sports, though. He likes to be really competitive in a backyard.
You know what? I respect that immensely.
Yeah.
That's really more speaking my language. Except I still don't care about winning. Anyway. Okay, so you and your brother, you tried this tech thing.
Like that's not true. You're like super achievement, like
I don't care about winning, about
not achievement driven,
sports.
But like
driven. I'm very driven, but it's always against myself. Like I rode and I swam. So they're very much like things that like you're in your lane. Literally and figuratively. Those were, I mean, I did volleyball and basketball when I was younger, but for me, it was very much like, and then later I did distance running. Oh, wow. All things were like myself.
Yeah.
And my husband and I trained for something together once, and he was really annoyed. Like I can be running 2 miles or I could run 10 and I will run at the same pace. Because it's just like, I'm happy I am out here. I'm proud of me for finishing. Like I was the queen of second place in everything growing up. And I was just like, I guess that's fine. I'm not elite. I'm okay with that. But when it comes to stuff that I can control, like for instance, showing up on the podcast every week, not having an episode come out, like that drives me crazy, which is why I recorded a solo pod last week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just couldn't not have something out that like bothers me, but it's more about doing something to completion rather than doing it perfectly. It's a very specific kind of take.
Drive.
Yeah. Okay, so post-tech startup fail.
Yes. I was jobless there for about 3 months, and I met my husband. Well, I had met him at a Christmas party.
Okay.
The year before, but I was dating.
Similar to a golf course, good place to meet somebody.
I mean, it turned out to be great. We had a great my boyfriend showed up late. He and my current husband had a good conversation, and I was like, oh, I have to go. My boyfriend's here. And he was like, what? And then I saw him about a year later, and
the other guy wasn't in the picture anymore.
A new guy was in the picture. But he asked me to go to dinner, and I told him that it was nice to see him too. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I know you're a smart girl, and you know that I asked you out to dinner. Like, I'm going to assume you're on a hunger strike, and I won't take it personally.
That is so funny. So was he persistent or?
Well, about 2 weeks later, I was like, hunger strike's over. And he was like, great, let's go out tomorrow. I was like, okay.
So what was it about this guy at the time where you were like, there's a twinkle in the eye?
He is so smart that I was just like, oh my gosh. Athletic, like gorgeous, beautiful eyes, dimples. I was like, oh.
Sweet. So for you, intellect, like having somebody that you could really like get into a meaty discussion with, yes. That was important.
It was, yes. And still is. I'm still like, how do we feel about China and tariffs? And he'll like explain it all to me in a way that I'm like, great.
To be fair, when I was doing my research, I did look him up and I was like, I want to talk to this guy. Because I used to do similar stuff to... Yeah, we can talk about it later. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. There's clearly a through line in your story in the sense that he's doing this stuff that is very environmentally forward in a very macro way.
Yes.
And you're doing your piece, which we're going to get to. So you guys obviously have like very clear shared values.
Yes.
In terms of the stuff that's
honestly,
important to you.
I hadn't even thought about it until you're saying that. And it's very cute. You
go home and you tell him that.
I will. I'm like, did you know?
Did you know that we have this thing in common?
Against, like plastic in our children?
Yeah. It turns out we're both trying to like change a paradigm about how we consume. So that's very cool. You found this person who had like a shared DNA thing.
Yes.
There's an intellectual attraction.
Yes.
And physical attraction.
Well, and we went on our first date. We went to Scopa in Venice, and it was a 7-hour first date. And it was just so fun and just no dull moments. He told me what he did, and he was like, and I'm the best in the world at what I do. And I was like, okay, confident.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's oddly attractive. Like, what? Who says that?
And then you Googled him and you're like, oh, he literally objectively is the best at what he does.
Explaining it, and I was like, this is going over my head, so I'm just going to smile and nod for a bit.
I'll process later.
Yeah. Follow-up questions like, oh.
So you had the 7-hour date, and how long did you guys date before you sort of realized, like, this is my person?
I knew that night.
Aww.
Yeah. And conveniently, this first date was like the beginning of November. And my brother and I, like I said, were roommates. And he was moving in with his girlfriend, who's now his wife, in January. So I was like, I could get an apartment by myself, or I could move in with you. And he was like, yeah, just move in here. And so.
When you know, you know. And how old were you guys at this point?
37 and he was 47.
Yeah, so you guys like knew who you were as people.
We're old parents.
I don't know about that. How old were you when you had your son?
39.
Yeah, that's where I am right to this very day. Although my son did ask me for another child last night before bedtime, and I said the shop's closed.
Mine keeps asking, and I was like, no, like we're older. He's like, oh, daddy's a lot older. So when daddy dies, we can have another one. I was like, that's not really how it works. So we'll revisit this, but no.
It is funny at this age, though, how, like, at least my son talks about death is very flippant.
Very flippant.
He asked my mom, his grandmother, who he's very close with the other day, like, Gaga, when do you think you're going to die? And then he looked at me last night and he asked me the same question. Like, when do you think you're... Like he was scheduling it in his Google Calendar.
Yes.
So he could just make some arrangements. It was very, like, jarring in a way.
Yes.
But important for them to, like, think about. I feel like I was shielded from things like death as a young person.
I don't remember my experience with it, but we lived next door to a lady with horses, and one of the horses died. And, for 6 months, that was what he led with when we met people. Like, horse next door died.
Yeah.
And he doesn't come back.
Yeah. In horse heaven?
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously. Just making sure, Everybody's got different belief systems in their house, but I believe all animals go to heaven.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys know that you're going to be together. You meet at 37. Did you talk about kids? He was older. Had he been married or anything before?
Which was great. And I'm not sure if it would have changed anything, but I don't know.
So what I do get very interested in, especially men who get married for the first time or like find long-term partnership later in life, especially high achieving ones. And this is a sample set of 10, I'm thinking of guys probably. It can be really hard to like change your program because you're like a well-oiled
program is set in concrete.
Right. It's like, these are my preferences. This is how I like my house. This is my schedule. And it's just like a machine.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're kind of stepping into that world.
Yes.
And there's at least I have observed from other relationships, like a big recalibration.
It breaks their brain a little bit.
Yeah.
But he did a great job. And I moved into, a house that he already owned and had set up. But he was extremely welcoming and like, would you like to make some changes to make this feel like more your house?
That's a good start.
Super aware.
Yeah. Also with a job like his, and I didn't ask you this either, but in my mind, he's going to be a very neat and tidy and organized person. Is he?
Yes.
Because he's a lawyer.
Well,
so it's very
like
detailed.
That's why he wasn't like married before. He was like on this train to get to where he needed to go. And then once he got there, he could look around.
Yeah. And now he kind of had the breathing space to say, okay, I'm able to be a little bit more flexy now because I'm comfortable.
Yes.
In the direction. I would say in where I am, but people like that don't stop where they are.
I was about to say, and looking back, what a time that was. Like, he had so much more free time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, especially I feel like about lawyers, is when you continue to achieve as a lawyer, you just have more work.
It's crazy.
There's no like autopilot function.
Yeah.
The stakes are just higher.
He's a renewable energy attorney, and he kind of came up with this structure that allows, stick with me, Wall Street banks to invest in wind and solar and get the tax credits. So he's got these big Wall Street banks as clients, and I'm over here like, we should make plates.
They're different, but they're different pieces, right? Like they're different pieces of the same question of how do we change markets and systems to be more amenable to the future that we all need? It's Earth Day yesterday, so it's appropriate that we're talking about this today. But also, how do we change our consumption patterns, which is what you're dealing with. So I think it's all part of the same universe. So don't sell yourself short. I'm noticing a theme with you, Meg, is you are somebody who is also a very high achiever, but you don't give yourself a lot of credit. Or you have a hard time maybe giving yourself credit. I think you're an absolute badass.
Thanks.
Or else this is a podcast for badass.
I'm feeling that way.
Yeah, you should. You should, guys. I don't often wish that we had video, but seeing this woman's face right now would have made it worth it. You are in the storied ranks of badass. But it's
been a while. I feel like the whole mom years really takes it out of you.
So let's get to that. Okay. So you guys are together at 37. At what point do you say, I think we should try and have a family?
Right after we got married, we were like, well, this is next steps.
Yeah.
We had talked about it. And so my son was born. And I was mentally
on the floor, shattered,
like
exploded. It's
like, where does your brain go? Where is the sense of achievement? Like all the things, because I do like to win prizes. I do like to get trophies, and there's not any trophy for like.
Yes.
He went to bed tonight.
Well, your childhood friend who's also been on the pod, Lisa, who's a stay-at-home mom, like we've talked about how it can be really hard. She didn't really give a shit about school, so she didn't mind not having the report card, but she does want to do a really good job.
Yeah.
And
she's like the best mom I've ever met. She's crazy.
Totally she's like my Yoda, my guiding force in terms of how to think about this stuff in a very structured, thoughtful way. But But she said, there's no performance management framework. There's no report card. There's no scorecard on how I'm doing other than like, is my kid being shitty today or not? And that's not even fair because it's a long game. So you don't know what the return on your time investment is. And it's such a shock. It's similar to when you leave college and all of a sudden basketball's gone.
Yeah.
You come into parenthood and all of a sudden that person you were is gone or is in a far back seat that so far you can't even see.
Yeah. Speaking of back seat, it's like, I'm going to just go get coffee. And you're like, oh, I got to put this thing in the back seat. And then I got to get them there. And now I'm just going to have coffee at home.
Right. There's so many more steps to everything. And also you're like, wait a minute, I'm not going to get my 8 hours or however much sleep that you think you need. Or I'm not going to have time to make myself the thoughtful meal with the balanced nutrition and the whatever. It explodes everything.
Yeah.
Now, going into this, you obviously knew that your husband wasn't going to be around loads because he already was living that professional life.
Yes, but having grown up with my mom and my dad traveling, a similar situation, not the exact same. I was like, well, yeah, dads travel, moms handle it, we're good.
Right. And once that was your actual lived experience, did you still feel that way?
I give my mom a lot more credit. Yeah. I was like, wow.
Turns out that was hard.
It can be difficult. But when my husband is home, he is the most present, wonderful dad, like completely amazing. And it's hard because my son enjoys hanging out with him so much that it might be overwhelming a bit to him too. Like, you get no personal time when you come home.
Yeah. There isn't like, oh, I've just been working a 60-hour week somewhere else and now I'm home and I just want to like decompress, but you're having this ball of energy like thrown at you. And for you as well, like he's been gone and you're like, cool, I need to go get that coffee by myself. So bye. Yes.
You were asking earlier, like, what our biggest fight is. And it's, like, understanding each other at that Friday afternoon. Like, he's excited to see you. I'm excited to see you. But I'm going to just sit back for a minute. And my husband's like, well, what?
Yeah. He's like, I want to be sitting back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody gets to sit back, it turns out.
Yeah.
And also, so you have one kid who's almost 6, your son. Do you think it's true? I think it's true that no matter how many children you have, they take up all of the space that is available.
I can't speak to that because I've only got one.
But
I can't imagine having 2 because where would the space be?
Right, exactly. Because sometime recently, my son had his first ever sleepover at his grandma's and we just had the baby and we went out to dinner, the 3 of us, and we're laughing. We're like, this is like having 0 children. However, when we did only have one, going out to dinner was like, oh my God, this is such a production. This is so hard and da-da-da. And it's just like kids will take the space that is available to them and they will take all of it.
Yes.
No matter.
I think that what they say about going from 0 to 1 child is a much bigger difference than 1 to 2 and on.
I think it's true. I mean, I think for different people and different relationships, it's different. For me, what you just said is certainly true. The second one, I was just like, poof. She here right now? Like, what's going on? But I think especially for if there's a second partner that's around a lot, the second one is really hard for them because there's nowhere to hide. It's man to man. There's nowhere. There's nowhere. You got to be there. And that, I think, like, that was what my husband said. Like, there was no like taking a 20-minute shit that's like not actually, you're just looking at your fucking phone in the bathroom. Like, you can't hide there anymore, because they'll come for you.
Who gets to go to the bathroom by themselves anymore?
Dads.
Dads of one child.
Dads of one child. Okay, so child, you know what I'm talking about too.
This morning, he's like almost 6, and he's in there like asking me questions. And like,
yeah,
I mean, it's 6:05, bud. Like, can you just wait right there?
I was trying to explain to my son this morning the concept of privacy.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah, right. Because he woke up before his light turns green, which is his cue that he can leave his room. And I'm just like, no. Before it's green, it's my time. After green, your time. And he's just like, can I do your time with you? And like, it was such a genuine question.
And you're like, of course.
And I'm like, no, yes. And so we agreed on, I need 5 minutes alone, and then you can do my time with me. But those 5 minutes, if I hadn't had the 5 minutes, I would have been such a bitch to him. I just wouldn't have been able to control it. I just wouldn't have been nice, because I just needed to have the 5 minutes to brush my fucking teeth by myself.
Yeah.
That's all. Isn't that crazy? Son, if you're listening to this 20 years from now, I love you deeply. At this point, you don't care about me anymore. If this is 20 years in the future, you've gone off, forgotten about your dear mother. It's okay. Jewish guilt.
And she doesn't like your new girlfriend.
Or boyfriend.
Oh, or
whatever you choose.
Yeah, anything you want.
Baseball or theater, whatever you want to do. So your son enters the picture.
Yes.
Identity whiplash.
Postpartum issues.
Like depression, anxiety, or more physical
the
postpartum?
fun one, rage.
Ooh, can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, how did that manifest?
0 to 700, and like out of nowhere, couldn't control it. And being self-aware, it's like, this isn't how you're supposed to like react to a kid spilling something, or
right.
Like it's not good. And I then was like turning it inward, and like just felt like flames under my skin to have to like walk away from my child, who doesn't need
the bad
to
energy.
see this.
Yeah.
But as soon as I did like some research and found out that postpartum rage is a thing,
yeah,
it was so beneficial. It was like, oh, okay, I am not completely crazy. Like, other people have felt this. It's a thing.
You could problem solve for it.
I could problem solve. For some reason, finding out something is textbook really helps me.
Same. Nobody wants to be the anomaly.
Oh, God, yeah. And so I, started therapy and worked through it, and hopefully it got better. I think it's better.
We'll ask your husband about that sometime. How is she on the rage front?
Yeah.
And how long was that process for you of going from feeling like the deep postpartum rage to feeling like, okay, I have the tools, I can...
Yeah. Well, because I didn't want to take anything when breastfeeding. That was just my choice. So it was after that. So I would say probably 6 months.
It's a long time to be in a rage.
Yeah.
Rough. I didn't...
like in Inside Out?
Yeah.
You've just got anger walking around with the flame on his head, and you're like, that's relatable.
Yeah. Turns out a lot of those movies are made for us. I feel. I haven't seen Inside Out 2 yet, but it's on the list. And somebody who's on the pod, her husband wrote it.
Oh my gosh.
So we got to go see it at some point.
That's impressive that a man wrote it.
Inside Out 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's also apparently a great baker. Oh. So I think he's in touch with a lot of different aspects of his internal monologue.
Cool.
Yeah, good for this guy. I haven't met him before, but he seems like a lovely dude.
So that goes on. Then I started having a couple of health issues. I have a brain tumor. Her name's Marissa Tomei.
You've been in Hollywood too long.
Too long.
How do you find out about the brain tumor?
I was having bad migraines.
Okay.
Yes. And they were being chalked up to pregnancy hormones and the drop off and all this. And I found out about UCLA's migraine program. And they were like, okay, well, we do an MRI as like the baseline. And so they had me come in, and, I get that call later that night, like, oh, we're going to need, actually, it's the weekend. Call us in 2 days. And I was like, you guys, no, you can't just like,
you sure can't. No.
So I call back, and they're like, oh, we didn't mean to scare you, but yes, you have a brain tumor, and we want you to come back in today, and we'll look at it. It's all great. Long story short, it's like 60% that it could be a brain tumor, 40% it's just scar tissue from sports. And I was like, this seems medically.
Yeah, I want more info.
Progressive.
I want more data than these half-ass percentages, guys.
So now I just go in for regular MRI.
Wait, this is still in your head?
Yeah. They can't do surgery on it, or they don't want to because it's in like the
sensitive spot.
Yeah.
How big is it?
Not big.
Okay.
I can't remember.
We're not talking like a golf ball.
No.
You're right.
So yeah, we just watch it. It hasn't grown, so they're leaning more towards the scar tissue issue. But still, it's.
How does that make you feel walking around?
I forgot about it.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years since I think we discovered it. But when I was having to go in every month, it was definitely like more on my mind.
Literally.
Yeah. Oh God. So good.
And did they say anything like, I have a friend who had a brain tumor that was kind of exacerbated by pregnancy because of the hormones kind of caused it to grow very rapidly? And did they have any hypotheses if...
Zero. They had zero.
So going
it was really a learning experience for me. I was like, okay, what do you mean we don't really know much about the brain?
So going back to what you said earlier about how you like being textbook versus an anomaly, you live both. Postpartum rage, textbook.
Yeah.
Thing in your head that we're still not sure, anomaly.
Denial.
Great. That's stressful.
It was. Yeah, it's not stressful anymore because I don't think it's growing and I don't think it's an issue.
So at what point do you decide through all of this that you're ready to try something outside of the home for you?
When my brain started to come back, like in terms of being able to think and carry on a conversation and form full sentences of like the mom brain. You know, I'm not good at it still.
I think she's crushing it, guys.
Case in point.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people you've had on the podcast are entrepreneurs and then have kids. So this is the reverse of that. I had a kid and I was like, there's a need for these plates. And I didn't like the options out there. It was all plastic or wheat straw or bamboo that they claim is like healthy, but it's not.
The melamine bamboo?
Yeah. Melamine is really bad. And they use like melamine adhesive in bamboo plates. So you're still getting it.
Oh, God.
I know.
It's okay. I already know I'm like 100% microplastics inside my body. It's not okay. It's not okay. But you know, we obviously, and the reason why this is interesting to talk about is I'm on a couple of different mom chats with different groups of friends, and regularly on one of them, shout out guys, you know who you are, we're talking about like who's replacing what in their house with what. And like cutting boards have come up a lot lately. Lunch boxes have come up. But we haven't actually talked that much about plates and like the stuff that our kids eat on every day in the home.
Yes.
So you go from acknowledging in your own home that like there's a gap in what you like to see.
Also, you know, I use the microwave on occasion. So you can't microwave some of these plates.
Yes.
You can't use the dishwasher on some of them.
You use a microwave on occasion? What are you, a trad wife in a farm somewhere? I'm using my microwave like 1,000,000 times a day on occasion.
I know, but if we're going to start cutting out stuff, I think the microwave might be on that list soon.
I can't, guys.
I'm not ready to either, but it's baby steps for me.
I reheat my coffee in that thing like 5 times a day.
In your glass mug.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you have your son, you're feeding him, he's on this journey, you realize, this doesn't feel good.
Yes. Well, the plates are really ugly. You have to use one to microwave, one to feed them on because they won't use the one that can be microwaved because it's not cool. And then one to store the leftovers. And it's like a non-efficient process for someone who doesn't have time and is stressed out about most things.
Most things. And then at what point did you say, oh, solving this problem could be something I could do?
I think it was when my husband told me I should be looking for a job, you know, when Pete goes back to kindergarten. And I was like, that doesn't sound ideal. What if I start one?
Right.
So, yeah. And then the name came to me, and I was like, well, with a name this good, like,
guys, it's Childish.
Childish for children.
It's such a cute name.
And I was like, oh my God. And then it comes with a silicone piece that, well, the plates themselves are ceramic, so microwave safe, dishwasher safe, refrigerator safe. It comes with a piece of silicone that goes on the bottom and prevents sliding on the table, and like dings in table, or protects the ceramic. And you can take it off and put it on top and save the leftovers and just put it straight in the fridge.
I'm going to do, Meg was so sweet and brought us some. I'm going to do a little like unboxing and explanation and put it in the show notes of this episode so people can actually like watch and see, because there's so many cool components to how it all works. Now, did you get a patent for this design, or how did you?
My patent attorney said that it was not patentable, so no.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like it's so
moms, we know that nothing like this exists.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe I should find a female patent attorney.
Yeah. I am very surprised because it just does seem, I've never seen anything like it, and I'm being targeted every fucking thing there is on the internet.
Yeah. And not to mention, these plates are really pretty.
They're beautiful.
And I like a pretty tablescape, and I didn't like the, crappy wheat straw, like scratch marks stuff. And these plates can go right on your table.
Have you ever thought, and I know that we're in early days here, and I'm not going to try and like put more on your plate, but have you ever thought about at some point making accompanying tableware for like grown-ups so that it could all go together on a table? I would love to see, like, these plates are beautiful. I would totally have a set of these for a dinner party for everybody.
Well, I've gotten a lot of feedback from the people who have them. Like, I've stolen the bowl. It's my favorite bowl.
Right.
I've stolen the plate. Like, this is now our set for my dinner. The current offering is 4 different ocean-themed plates with the same turtle bowl and a cup. But yeah, put them everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Get them everywhere.
I use them.
No, they are really beautiful. And I'm excited to try them because I have been not contributing to the group chat when everyone talks about replacing their shit, because I'm like, I can't do it yet. Especially the cutting boards. I can't. Now, how did it feel for you, sort of emotionally, psychologically, whatever, to all of a sudden have a thing that's yours, that's outside of your home? Was this like an energizing thing?
I don't have emotions, so it's great.
Meg, that's not true. They're just buried deep inside. And if we spend out enough time together.
5 emotions: hungry, tired, happy.
I'm going to crack you open, woman. Yeah. Just give us enough time together.
I feel really excited, and it's fun to have something to focus on when I take my son to school and I sit down at my computer and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to teach myself how to do this today and this and this. And I did go to law school, but I wish, currently I wish I had gone to business school, because it's like, oh, I don't know this stuff. I should have gone to business school. Maybe it's not too late. I
think about that all the time. And I often say to my husband that I want to get an MBA. And he's like, Carrie, can you please? Because I just kept going, right? Like, did the master's and I was like, this is fun. Like, let's get a PhD. And I promised him I'd take a little break. But I do see it in my future because I do think it is a really useful skill set.
I do too.
Right?
Yeah.
For now, there's, I guess, the online MOOCs of the world, but it's not the same.
ChatGPT and I are muddling through this.
Besties. Yeah. So you're excited about this chapter. Now, in the midst of all of this stuff, you're getting a business off the ground. December, holiday time, we're moving into a new year, 2025. You're living your Malibu life with your beautiful family.
Yes.
And then the fires in LA hit.
Yes.
And luckily, your house is spared.
Yes.
But life will never really be the same for quite some time.
Right.
Where you guys are. What was that experience like, going through that with your son, explaining to him what's going on, and where are you guys now? Literally and sort of emotionally.
I had kind of PTSD from the Woolsey fire because that had come through 6 years earlier, and it burned a ton of Malibu. It burned right up to the side of our house. We thought we had lost our house.
Right before your son was born, pretty much.
I was pregnant,
Yeah.
Totally calm. But our house turned out to be okay, as it was in this fire. my son's school called on the morning of, and they were like, we're aware of a fire up the hill. Everything's cool. And then it's, the day is progressing, and they're like, well, actually, we're going to just do carpool as normal. Come get your kid. And I live 30 minutes away. And, it got more like, actually, we've relocated to the fire station down the street.
With all the kids?
With all the kids.
Fuck.
And I had gotten to about Topanga, and they had the road closed. And I was like, I'm going to have to run over somebody because I'm going to get to my child.
Yeah.
And at that same time, a friend had called and was like, I've got Pete. We're headed back up towards Malibu. I don't know that I would have been able to get to him without like being on foot for a mile.
Oh my God.
It was very hectic. And of course there's like black smoke billowing over these like mountains, and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah. That's terrifying. I mean, that specific aspect of knowing that something bad is happening and not being able to get to your kid literally makes me want to throw up.
It's horrible. And it is the reason that currently we decided to rent a house in town closer to his temporary location for his school, because I don't want to be separated by a closed down PCH from him.
You've done that once before, and we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, and your son through all of this.
Such a trooper. I was like, how did it go? And he was like, oh, we just followed the teachers down the street with their backpacks. And I was like, yeah, great.
Is this similar though to like being like the horse next door died, where he's just like, there were fires and my school's not there right now?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend, and she was like, well, have you asked him? Like, what is his emotional state? I was like, ugh, I haven't. But I go home.
I'm sorry, I'm Meg. I don't have emotions.
I was like, I don't know if he does, but I guess I can ask him. I was like, how do you feel about like having this rental house? And he was like, I mean, we've been in our other house for like years. This is fine. He was like, oh yeah.
Thanks,
New
Pete.
Chapter. I was like,
thanks, Pete.
Hey, let's go outside.
But I feel like, especially because you're clearly very connected to nature, to the ocean, your sense of place seems like it's very important to you.
It is.
And is a big inspiration for you. So to be taken out of that and move somewhere else.
It is. I feel very discombobulated with having some clothes at this rental house, some clothes at our other house, keeping my son's clothes, my dog food, like figured out, it's things you didn't think you were going to have to worry about.
Yeah. Did you have to pack like your go bag, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
What went in that bag?
Oh man, that's such an interesting question. You should ask everybody this question because it is wild. I was like,
mine's actually still right here.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. But just, totally nonsense went into the bag.
I was like, pictures, okay? And then my favorite sweatpants. And then I guess I'm ready.
Right.
2 pairs of cowboy boots.
Because what if the first ones get dirty?
One's brown and one's gray, and I'll be so sad.
You're a woman of many layers, Meg.
So deep.
For all of us, I feel like it was so theoretical, even though it was right in our faces. And you're like, it's not going to happen to me. Kind of similar, honestly, to miscarriage in a way where you're like, miscarriage isn't going to happen to me. Like other people, it might happen to, but it's not going to happen to me.
I glossed over that, but that happened to me before Pete.
Yeah, and it happened to me too. And for so many of us, it happens. But especially for like achievery people, we're like, that's for other people's uterus. Like, I have a stellar uterus.
Yeah. We have been achieving things, body. What is happening here?
Yeah. But it's the same in this situation where your body or your mind just can't imagine that it could happen.
Yeah.
Or that something really bad could happen.
Yes.
And so in the time where you need to be the most prepared and have your shit the most together, you're like, 2 pairs of cowboy boots. I actually need both.
I need both. And obviously I should get the socks I wear with these.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't replace those.
Was there anything that went in the bag that was like Pete's thing?
Pete was perfectly packed.
Of course. Sure.
Because I did him first, and I was very organized and
composed.
But again, I feel for the people in the Palisades because I was told to come get my child, and I did. And all those other moms did the same. And they weren't allowed to go back home to pack a bag. And so they had their kid, wonderfully, and nothing else. And they lost
everything.
Just everything.
Even the cowboy boots.
And, I mean, So sad.
Yeah, it is. My husband recently went to visit a friend who unfortunately lost their house, and they're in a rental. And he was like, I didn't fully appreciate what it's like to lose all your stuff until I looked around and saw that all their stuff was gone.
Yeah.
And they're in this new place and everything's kind of cobbled together. And I think in some ways kids help you focus on sometimes that stuff is important. Like I put my son's Hulk costume in the bag because I knew that was super important to him. But our sense of place, stuff is, yes, existentially just stuff, but also it does kind of tie us to our identity, our personal history or whatever. Right. So,
there was a bag dedicated to the trucks.
Yeah. Yes. A lot here too. Trucks are life still. We haven't moved on from that to shooting hoops in the backyard, unfortunately.
Have you been to Brooder Town yet?
No. Brooder Town?
Yeah.
What's that?
They make the scaled trucks that are just functioning and great.
Oh no.
And they have a showroom.
Sounds expensive.
Oh, it's the worst.
I will not be going there. I'm going to unremember that right now.
Smart. So, I might have promised my child that after school today, so that might be what's on my mind.
Oh, Godspeed to you and your wallet. So now we're in this new chapter where your business is taking off. It's launching.
To launch, but we had a fire, and I was like, I can't.
We're launched. Aren't we launched?
No, we launched in March.
But like we're launched
we had
now.
The product. Oh yeah.
You're like, yeah. We're here
together.
You can go on the internet and buy this, and obviously we're going to put a link in the show notes for everybody.
Childishplates.com.
Childishplates.com. Beautiful. We're going to show everybody what that is. So now you're in this interesting place where, okay, Pete, your son, is sorted in the sense he's got his new normal business. Then we just got to get the home new normal stasis.
Which has proven interesting because my husband doesn't want to sleep at the new rental place.
This is, again, goes back to like being achiever and not like he's so textbook.
He's so like on his program.
Yeah, he's on the program.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when he's in town, we make the drive from Malibu to Santa Monica along the burned out PCH.
Woof.
Yeah.
But
when he's out of town, we are very happy at the
other place. Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully all of this resolving in some sort of straightforward way soon.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really excited for people to go check out this amazing thing that you've built. I don't believe you that you don't have emotions. I think you have a lot of emotions, and it, to me, is no accident that in so many ways you have taken the stuff from your childhood. You have taken like your love of sports and you've figured out how to program that hopefully into this life that you're going to have with your kid. You've taken this high achieving, executive functioning mom figure that you had and you're bringing it forward to here. But you're also taking this like entrepreneurial thing that comes from building confidence, I think, through sports and performance and like knowing what it's like if you put the hours in, what you can come out. And that's also showing up here too.
Yes.
So I think not only are you a person with emotions, but you're a person with a story. So Meg, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited for people to listen to this, to check out what you're about.
Thank you. I'm excited.
And I'm excited for you to hopefully listen back to this and be like, I do have a story.
I do have emotions.
She has emotions in a story.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're just a badass. You'll believe me one day. Team, I need your help. If you love it here, please like and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Substack for full access to this episode's show notes and join the discussion. And of course, follow me on Instagram at Mutha, MUTHA.life for a daily look at all things Mutha. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another Chat in the Closet. This podcast was produced by Mutha Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.